Chapter 26. Sighing as he freed himself from his bonds, Leon looked down at the gruesome wounds covering his body. Maluki has talent, some of those hits actually hurt, and the twisted smile was a nice touch. It shouldn't be long before Mom brings in an actual test subject. Bandaging his wounds, Leon redressed before walking out of the torture chamber. I should start training. My control of Nen is near perfect, and my reserves aren't insignificant, but I still don't know the full potential of my Hatsu. So far I have Tempo Field and Soul Peace. Tempo Field can reach 50 meters and be sustained for about 20 minutes. Deep in the forest, Leon cleared space for a makeshift training ground. Once it met his standards, he activated Tempo Field. After failing to push it beyond 50 meters, Leon reached into his pocket and pulled out two slender bracelets, securing them on his wrists. Focused Nen flowed into the bracelets, and suddenly Leon felt as though something was choking him. He fought the panic and adapted to the oppressive sensation. The bracelets had come from his father, described as being made of metal that stores Nen. Leon had never heard of such a thing, but he accepted them. I have about 25% of my Nen available, let's see how far I can push it. Restrained by the bracelets, Leon began basic Nen drills, more difficult to generate and maintain than ever before. An hour later, drenched in sweat and depleted of Nen, Leon lowered his right hand and released an emission beam that uprooted the ground a few feet away. Dropping to hands and knees, he grinned. Intense training pain felt familiar. After removing one bracelet, the Nen stored surged back into him. Rejuvenated, Leon resumed the routine. Every 5 seconds, he lowered one hand and emitted a Nen beam. As a specialist, Leon's proficiency with emission stood at 60%, but the simplicity of the technique meant no backlash. After 3 hours, Leon was forced to rest. His head throbbed, his mouth felt like cotton. He meditated, refusing to rush back into training. Overusing Nen too quickly could burn one's life force, potentially shortening lifespan by decades. The next day, sounds of tearing flesh and breaking bones echoed in the forest as Leon moved. Steam rose from his skin as his wounds healed. His training had taken a sadistic turn. The core strength of Tempo Field allowed him to manipulate the speed of everything inside it. Objects and people moved twice as quickly or slowly. However, his body could only endure using it 3 times a day. Wiping blood from his eyes, Leon sighed before activating the ability for the 5th time. Skin split open and healed immediately. In rapid succession, he repeated this maneuver over 10 times in a few seconds, but he could only sustain it briefly before giving out. I wonder how long I have to keep this up. Pretty sure my spleen ruptured at one point, but it's nothing new. Standing, Leon glanced at his blood-soaked shirt. I need a bath, that gives me an idea. Spotting a river, he stripped and dove in, watching murky water turn nearly black with dirt. Cupping water in his hands, Leon tried the idea he'd considered during training with Maha. While Tempo Field let him slow objects within it, he'd never managed to completely halt something inside. Maybe if I shrink the field, I could. Forming a small bubble just around his hands, Leon poured Nen into his field and then let his hands drop. A small pool of water floated suspended midair. Laughing, Leon leapt up. I can't believe I never thought of that before. Even if it's not especially practical, with enough training I'll master it soon. Fueled by excitement, he formed another bubble, trying to freeze an area the size of a basketball. But in his eagerness, he forgot how low his Nen was. Before he could react, Leon collapsed face first. Damn it. I hope no one finds me. Chapter 27. Opening his eyes, Leon found himself in a bed, hooked up to an 4. Ripping the tube from his arm, Leon stood up just as a maid entered the room with a tray of food. Oh, Master Leon, you're up. I'll bring a change of clothes right away. Barely registering her words, Leon lunged at the food tray and began shoveling food into his mouth. I wonder how long I was out. The 4th is nearly empty, so it must have been over an hour. After clearing the plate in 5 minutes, Leon didn't notice that his clothes had already been delivered and placed beside him. Now dressed, he left the room, ready to resume his training. While walking, Leon glanced behind him and spotted a pudgy child stalking him from behind a pillar. Smiling, Leon suddenly appeared behind Maluki, grabbing him by the armpits. "Gotcha!" Maluki squealed, trying to escape by pounding on Leon's fingers, but it was useless. Even though Maluki was only about 1.5 years old, he had the strength of a full-grown man. "Leon, stop interfering with your brother's training. How is he supposed to learn stealth when you keep coddling him?" Kikyo approached and took Maluki from Leon's arms. "Now I suggest you get to your own training, mister. When Mike found you face down in the river, I nearly sent you back into the cave with your grandfather." Leon ran off, leaving his mother scowling at the spot he just vacated. He didn't stop until he reached his usual training ground, only to find a large, purple wolf sleeping in the center of it. "Mike, get off your lazy ass, I need to train." The wolf looked up, then rolled over and gave Leon his best puppy dog eyes. Unmoved, Leon walked over and grabbed the oversized mutt by the tail, dragging him away. "That might work on Mom, but not on me. Go find someone else to bother." With a final kick to Mike's rear, Leon cleared the area and sighed. "Now that he's gone, I can get back to work." Creating a baseball-sized bubble of Nen, Leon played with it, stretching and manipulating its shape. "I should test how many I can create at once, and how large I can make them." As the trials continued, Leon discovered several principles of his new ability. First, the more his Nen was spread, whether through multiple spheres or an enlarged field, the less control he had over the speed of suspended objects. Second, objects within the field were immediately released from stasis if touched by anything else. Third, the greater the object's mass or velocity, the more Nen it required to freeze. Sighing, Leon let the tree drop to the ground and dismissed his stasis bubble. So if only part of an object enters the area, it acts like a physical barrier. Well, that's enough experimenting for today. Time to resume proper training. After weeks of intense practice, Leon's body had grown more accustomed to the brutal effects of his tempo field's double-speed usage. An hour into training, Leon was only bleeding from his nose and mouth, an improvement compared to earlier sessions when his skin tore apart at the seams. "I finally broke through my bottleneck. Though I think I can push even further." 1 year later. Inside an enclosed room, Leon stood surrounded by walls riddled with holes. With a mechanical whir, the holes began to glow cherry red before firing hundreds of bullets. Steadying his breath, Leon raised his hands and created a stasis bubble around his body. As the bullets hit the bubble, they sounded like golf balls smacking metal. Pouring more Nen into the field, the bullets began to fall harmlessly to the floor. Dropping his arms after a few seconds, Leon surveyed the shell casings scattered around him. "I finally got it. After 10 trips to the hospital for internal bleeding, I did it." His celebration was cut short when the door swung open. "Did you finally complete your trivial training? You've been hired for a job. They specifically requested you, based on your work in Meteor City. I suggest you move fast." They didn't sound like they were in a good place. Leon's face lit up, practically splitting with excitement. About time those guys called. Finally, something fun. "Then stop standing around," the voice snapped. "The fewer people in the house, the better." Chapter 28. Leon couldn't sit still as he waited aboard his family's private blimp. It had been nearly 5.5 years since he last saw his friends. "I wonder why they need me back. Maybe they want me to kill someone. It's been a while. I hope I haven't lost my touch. I wonder how many Nen users are in Meteor City. I didn't notice anyone too strange before, except that Sacco guy. He was definitely a Nen user, and a strong one at that. Sighing, Leon closed his eyes, hoping sleep would help pass the time. 5 hours later. Even after 3 years, Leon remembered the path back to the warehouse. The already shattered windows were now completely destroyed. The metal walls were dented, and the rusted door barely clung to its hinges. He was about to go inside when he felt eyes on him. "Hey dumbass, over here." Looking over, Leon caught a flash of pink hair disappearing into an alley. Grinning, he followed and found Maki leaning against the wall, arms crossed. "Took you long enough. What were you doing, living under a rock?" Leon shrugged. Surprisingly accurate. More of a cave, but yeah, about 100 feet of rock. "Yeah, whatever. While you went back to your life of luxury, things got real here. Come on, the troop is waiting at our new base." Nodding, Leon followed Maki as she sprinted deeper into the alley. As they moved, he could feel aura radiating from her. She definitely learned it. I wonder if the others did too. I'd bet my left testicle that Uvagin is an enhancer, that guy's the definition of brute strength. The farther they ran, the more disturbed Leon became. The city was like a ghost town compared to before. There were still people, but they looked even more malnourished. What happened to this place? Maki looked back. We don't really know. Rumor is the Mafia's involved somehow. Falling silent, Leon considered the possibilities. Mafia. From what I know, they use this place to source untraceable assassins. Why would they destroy their own supply? Time slipped away. Without thinking, Leon's body slowed to match Maki's as she came to a stop. Okay, we're clear. Come on. Kneeling, Maki slid a manhole cover aside and jumped down. Back underground. I swear I've had enough of the mole man life. Following, Leon dropped into the dried-up pipe system. Hurry up, dumbass. The group is waiting. Yeah. How'd you guys afford me for a whole month anyway? Even with the discount, that's still several thousand. Maki scowled. Once the gangs started falling apart, we swept in and stole everything that wasn't nailed down, then sold it for a profit. Also, we had some of the money you left us. Eventually, Maki stopped at another sewer grate with a ladder against the wall. Climbing up, Leon was relieved to see that the base wasn't underground. Was the sewer really necessary? Maki's eyes darkened. You have no idea. Come on, we've got a new base. Leon recognized the broken-down building that Maki entered. It was the same place he'd broken into before. He noted the tripwires set up around the debris. So you guys took my advice. Maki didn't answer. She slipped through a gap and vanished on the other side. Maneuvering through it himself, Leon grinned at the sight of the people waiting inside. It's good to be back. Looking around, Leon saw that each of them had visible aura. Well, look who decided to join the party. Leon grinned as Uvagin walked over. I was thinking about your ugly mug, thought I might die at the sight. Laughing, Uvagin clapped Leon on the shoulder. Good to have you back. We tried calling that number you gave us a year after you left, but they said you were training. Told us to try again in 2 years. Leon sighed. Don't remind me. I trained with my great-great-grandfather for 3 years in a cave. Ate once every 3 months. Uvagin gave him a strange look. What the hell were you training for? You seemed strong enough before. Smiling, Leon deactivated Zetsu, allowing his aura to pour out around him. That's so much better. Uvagin frowned. Damn it. Can't you just be normal for once? I owe Maki $50 now. Leon glanced at the Ice Queen. You bet on me learning Nen, smart. You should have seen her after you left, said Nobunaga, walking over. She wouldn't talk to anyone for a month. Went through the 5 stages of grief. Well, more like constant anger. Honestly, I thought she had her. Pakinoda thumped Nobunaga on the head, cutting him off. Shut up, will you? Your mouth's gonna get you killed one day. Rubbing the bump on his head, Nobunaga chuckled nervously. Now that the formalities are out of the way, can we talk about why you wanted me back so badly? As you've noticed, everything in the city's gone to hell. Food is scarce. You can't step outside without getting mugged unless you're in a group. Phaeton chimed in from his seat. Well put. So what's the plan? We found caravan routes for the Mafia. Weapons, supplies, we're thinking of raiding them, Leon said, looking over at Maki. Why would you steal from them? You planning to take from the rich and give to the poor? We just want to destroy the caravan, said Kurlo, speaking for the first time as he stood. The Mafia's still consolidating power. We need to move before their operations are complete. Leon looked around the room, a wide grin spreading across his face. I'm so glad I came here in the first place. Well, let's stop sitting around. We've got a revolution to plan. Chapter 29. On an empty dirt road surrounded by junk piles, a caravan of cars and trucks kicked up dust as their headlights pierced through the night. As the line of vehicles passed one of the massive heaps, a small figure stepped out in front of the trucks. Unfazed, the drivers aimed to plow through. Franklin grunted as he raised his arms, his fingertips dropping off, still attached by chains to his hands. A second later, Franklin began firing Nen bullets from his fingers. The blasts tore through the truck's metal like paper, and the cars fared no better. The lead truck began to smoke before erupting into a fireball. All vehicles screeched to a halt, and men in riot gear poured out like ants, searching for the threat. Cannonball. Uvagin leapt from a junk pile, his fist glowing with bright red energy. As he smashed into the ground, a shockwave exploded outward, engulfing most of the caravan in red light. When the dust settled, all that remained was a large crater and mangled metal from the destroyed vehicles. At the center of the crater lay Uvagin, face down and snoring. Frowning, Leon looked down at him, cursing the musclehead. He told me he'd be able to stand after using Big Bang Impact. Whatever, let's go clean up his mess. Jumping down, Leon was followed by Maki and Phaeton. Leon grunted as he landed on someone, their body folding like a paper cup beneath him. Like a phantom, he moved through the remaining guards, dismembering them with fluid, merciless strikes of his sword. Leave some for the rest of us. Looking up, Leon saw Maki smirking. She closed her hand, and 5 men lost their limbs as her Nen threads sliced cleanly through them. Leon shook his head. How come the only time I see you smile is when you're killing someone? Both of you stop flirting, Phaeton snapped. Everyone's already dead or dying, can we go now? Leon glared at him. Fine. We're done here. Go grab the brute. Grumbling, Phaeton stepped down from his hill of corpses. He's only been back for 5 months, why is he in charge of everything? 1 hour later. Leon smiled as he surveyed the modest pile of loot salvaged from the caravan. I can't believe you guys were going to leave this behind. There's food, medicine, and guns. Pakinoda leaned over his shoulder and whistled. You're right, with this, we could build an empire in all this chaos. Leon raised an eyebrow. I thought we were trying to stop the Mafia, not start an empire by exploiting people's need for food and medicine. What? Does that offend your moral compass? Leon flipped off Uvagin. I don't have a moral compass, I'm an assassin. I'm just saying, this plan's not airtight. We'd have to stay underground. Distribution's going to be a nightmare. But I can make it work. Everyone turned to look at Kurlo, who stood in thoughtful silence. It would be wasteful to leave behind so much wealth. Sighing, Leon rubbed his temples. Okay, I guess that means we're smugglers now. I'll start sending out feelers, see what's needed, and who needs it. How do you know so much about smuggling? You're an assassin, asked Franklin, unusually curious. Leon was a bit surprised. For 2 years, I acted as the right-hand man to a crime lord. Gained his trust, then brought his entire operation crashing down in a week. Nobunaga crossed his arms. Is there anything you can't do? Shrugging, Leon rummaged through the loot pile. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. Shivering, Nobunaga shook his head. Never mind. In a matter of minutes, Leon had organized the loot into 2 piles, one for food and medicine, the other for weapons. Okay. Now that I've got a list, we can start spreading rumors about a black market that accepts item exchange. Now go, my messengers, spread the good word. Pretending not to notice the several hostile auras suddenly pointed at him, Leon vanished. What is with that guy? Chapter 30. Leon spent the entire day setting up their new trading hub. For the second time, he had to reorganize the warehouse, laying traps and reactivating an auto turret that had somehow survived a crash. Just as he finished, he heard a loud crash followed by a scream of pain. Sighing, Leon traced the sound back to where Uvogin had his leg stuck in a bear trap. Both Maki and Nobunaga stood over him, shaking their heads. I told you he set traps, but you wouldn't listen, Maki scolded without missing a beat. Can you just shut up and help me? Uvogin grunted. Walking over, Leon deactivated the trap. Stay still, the teeth were poisoned. If your blood circulates too quickly, I might have to cut off the leg. Uvogin paled. Is that true? Please tell me you have an antidote, I can't lose a leg. Leon stuck out his tongue and smiled. Just kidding. Uvogin glared at him, but Nobunaga's laughter drowned out whatever comeback he was about to throw. Come on, the teeth probably hit a vein with your luck. Go sit over there and be quiet, Maki said. Grumbling, Uvogin obeyed. Did you guys at least spread the word about our little operation? Leon asked. Yeah, and we also found some muscle we could hire. Is everything ready to start tomorrow? Maki asked. Leon nodded. Tell me where they are, I'll check them out. Don't touch anything. Oh, and just in case, here's the antidote. Pour it on the wound. Tossing Maki a vial, Leon got the location from Nobunaga and sprinted off before Uvogin could chase him. I wonder how he's going to react to the pure alcohol I gave Maki. Double-checking the address, Leon walked into an alley that opened into a hidden alcove surrounded by makeshift walls. Ignoring the wary stares, he scanned the gaunt faces until he sensed someone watching him. Over his shoulder, Leon spotted a somewhat well-dressed man staring at him. Pale, with slicked back hair, a thin nose, and narrow glasses perched on it, the man casually flipped a golden coin in his hand. Leon approached. What do you want? The man smiled. Can you use Nen? Scratching his neck, the man replied, Ah, yes. I'm an enhancer, I can handle myself against most other Nen users. Leon grinned. Great. While my friends and I can handle things well enough, we need a face for our operations. Consider yourself hired, mister? Godo, sir. Shall we get going? Back at the warehouse, Leon gave Godo a tour and assigned him oversight of everything from inventory to staff hiring. Leon, you son of a bitch. Well, Godo, I think you have everything you need to get started. I'll leave it to you. Turning on his heel, Leon bolted as Uvogin came charging around the corner, steam practically rising off his head. I'm going to shit down your throat. Godo sighed and adjusted his glasses. At least he shows some form of respect. And to know Nen at such a young age. I wonder what his background is. Flipping his coin again, Godo reviewed the inventory list Leon had handed him. With this, he could charge whatever he wants. Just what is his endgame? Panting, Leon eventually lost Uvogin. It couldn't have hurt that badly. But then again, I've never tested it before. Leon, what are you doing here? Leon turned to see Pakinoda staring at him. I could ask you the same thing. Raising an eyebrow, Pakinoda shrugged. I don't really care. Just thought I'd mention that Uvagan's furious about something. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's because of you. Little old me? I couldn't even harm a fly. Rolling her eyes, Pakinoda flicked Leon on the forehead. We've got info on another mafia stash. We might want to raid it. Everyone's back at the base. Rubbing his forehead, Leon shrugged. As our strategist, I should really be the first to hear about these things. Well, we would have told you, but no one could find you. And by the way, nice touch with the alcohol bit. Grinning, Leon puffed out his chest. Finally, someone recognizes my genius. Back at the base, Leon rubbed the bump forming on his head from Pakinoda's earlier punch. Okay, now that we're all here, we can finally go over what we know. Pakinoda spread out a schematic of the building they planned to raid. There are about 50 guards stationed around the compound. Tomorrow, a supply truck is scheduled to arrive around 7 with a load of goods. All we need to do is intercept the truck and get out. After that, we're home free. Chapter 31. All we need to do is hijack the truck and get out. After that, we're home free. Looking back on it, Leon should have known nothing that simple would have worked, cursing as the truck swerved again, throwing Leon onto one of the pallets of supplies. Hey, assassin, can you tell Maki to hurry up? There's more of them coming, and Franklin is in no state to use Nen. Pakinoda screamed back to Leon as she used her handgun to try and destroy the cars chasing them. I would, but I fear my head won't stay attached to my body if I do. Cutting the binds that secured the pallet to the truck, Leon grunted as he pushed the crate off the back of the truck. Deal with that, you fucks. Smiling as the first car crashed, forcing the one behind it to swerve, they were finally able to break away from their pursuers. Punching the wall, Uvagan roared, damn it, what was that all about? Why was he there? Leon, answer me already. I don't know why he was there. He should have known not to come anywhere near my job, Leon answered, rubbing his temples. I wonder how this went so wrong. 30 minutes before. Sighing, Leon regretted not wearing a jacket. The truck's late, but we planned for that. All we have to do is just not be seen. Looking down at the heavily guarded building below, Leon counted 20 figures shuffling around in the dark. The silence was broken by the sound of a crinkling wrapper. Looking over, Leon saw Uvagan munching on an energy bar. What? I'm hungry. Rolling his eyes, Leon was about to berate his friend when the squeal of tires and the hiss of brakes forced him to turn back around. Looking down, Leon saw 3 trucks pulling into the unloading bay. That's not right, is it? Leon shook his head. No, it is not. Well, nothing's changed, we still move on with the plan. Give the signal. Nodding, Uvagan inhaled as Leon plugged his ears. After holding his breath for a second, Uvagan roared, causing the building they were on to vibrate. When echoes finally stopped bouncing off the surrounding buildings, Leon and Uvagan jumped down from where they were, running to take care of the confused grunts below. With primal glee, Uvagan's fists shattered the armor of his first victim before grabbing the man's broken body and tossing him into his next target. Using his smaller size, Leon locked his legs around his target's torso before snapping his neck. Sighing as a storm of bullets sailed toward him, Leon thrust out his hands, stopping the bullets. Dropping his hands, Leon rolled to his feet. Unsheathing his sword, he blurred as he appeared behind a guard, stabbing his sword through a gap in the man's armor. Appearing behind the next closest guard, Leon took his head off with one clean slash. After 3 years of training, Leon was able to speed up his body even outside a tempo field. As the gunfire attracted more and more guards toward Uvagan and Leon, Maki and Pakinoda were able to sneak down and hijack a truck. Killing one last guard, Leon looked toward the truck as Maki gestured them over. "Uvagin, that's our call. Let's go." Running over, Leon sighed as Uvagin barely heard him, still bashing two guards together. "I'll be right there. I just want a few more." Maki's eyes narrowed. "Why do we let that idiot off his leash? We need to go now." Leon was about to agree when he heard a helicopter flying overhead. Squinting, he saw a figure drop from above. "Ah! Shit!" Picking up Maki, Leon dashed away as a meteor-like impact shook the ground where they had just been standing. Stopping a few meters away, Leon frowned at the figure stepping out of the crater. "Dad, what are you doing here? There's a rule about conflict of interest." Section 2, Paragraph 5, Subtext 14. Silva smiled as he fully stepped out of the crater, the burning truck behind him. "Well," Section 4, Paragraph 57, Subtext 7 says if a member of the family owes a favor, they must complete one job. I owed the Mafia a favor. Gritting his teeth, Leon turned tail and ran toward one of the still intact trucks. "Uvagin, we need to go now. My dad's on a whole other level, we can't win against him." Looking over, Leon saw that Uvagin was already running toward the truck, and Pakinoda was inside helping him in. Hopping on board, Leon had completely forgotten about Maki, until she punched him in the chest, her cheeks flushed. "Put me down. Now." Shrugging, Leon let go of the Ice Queen as she rushed to the front of the truck. Leon sighed as they peeled down the concrete road, glaring at his father as a large ball of purple energy formed in his right palm. "Maki, go faster and brace for impact." Walking to the back of the truck, Leon created a tempo field around the vehicle as the orb flew toward them. Current time. Leon sighed as he finished packing one last crate of stolen loot. "So I think this is the last run we make for a while. With my father around, it'll take a while to get him to go away." "What do you have up your sleeve to get a hardcore assassin to cut off his contract?" Maki asked as she brushed off her hands. "Oh, I know a girl." Chapter 32. Getting off the phone, Leon sighed. "Well, thanks for trying, Mom. I'll just keep away from Dad." "So how did your call go? Is your dad going to lay off?" Uvagin said as he slammed Nobunaga's fist into the ground. "Oh come on, let's go again." "Not well. My mom already tried to talk my dad out of it, but nothing can be done. We have enough to sell for at least a week, but after that, I don't know what we're going to do," Leon answered, looking down at the arm wrestling match between Uvagin and Nobunaga. "Are you guys even listening?" Nobunaga grunted, "No. There's $50 and I can't lose." Walking away, Leon looked down from the warehouse office to see that a few people were buying canned food and medical supplies. Since the Mafia came to town, everyone's supply route had been cut off, so people had the money, but nothing to spend it on. That's what Leon, Maki, and Pakinoda planned around. There would be a surge of wealth before everything leveled out. During that time, they could capitalize on the market. Why didn't Leon just use all the money collecting dust in his bank account? Because, where was the fun in that? Becoming bored, Leon slid to the floor, twiddling his thumbs. He was about to fall asleep when someone knocked on the door. Opening it, Leon didn't recognize the person standing in front of him, dressed in dirty, ragged clothing that nearly covered their entire body. They also wore a mouthpiece that covered their nose and mouth. Leon could hear Uvagin and Nobunaga shifting behind him, clearly having noticed the intruder. "Can I help you?" "Ah, Leon Zoldyck, I always wanted to meet you. I have to say, the stories my students told me don't do you justice." Looking back, Leon saw Uvagin and Nobunaga looking like they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. "Sorry, who are you? And why do I feel like I've been left out of the loop? Where are my manners?" I am one of the 9 city elders who had the honor of teaching the people you call friends. Blinking, Leon moved out of the way, letting the elder step into the room. So, Uvogin, are you still doing those practices I showed you? Uvogin stalled, looking everywhere except at the city elder. And Nobunaga, have you reached the 4-meter mark in your N? We might have to start from scratch. Leon had never been so confused in his entire life. Can someone please tell me what's going on? About a year after you left, Elder found us and started to teach us Nen. And every now and then he checks in on us, Uvogin explained, sitting down on one of the leather chairs. Why he's here now is beyond me. Ah, Uvogin, is it too much just to visit my pupils and see how they're doing? Yes. Uvogin and Nobunaga yelled at the same time. Fine, you caught me. Since you already seem intent on fucking over the Mafia, I want you to really throw a wrench in their plans. I'll give you anything you need, getaway driver, helicopter, suicide bombers, anything. Why do you need us? Do it on your own, Nobunaga said as he slid to the floor, picking up his sword and examining the blade. I wish I could, but my hands are tied. The other elders have me outvoted, so I have to move forward on my own. Normally I would consider it, but my father is contracted by the Mafia to protect them or something. And none of us are strong enough to face him head-on, or otherwise. So, sorry, but no. The elder started drawing circles on the ground, crouching in the corner. Act your age. Fine. I thought you might say that, so I planned ahead. I found someone who might be able to distract your father long enough for my plan to work. The elder stood back up, walking toward the door. Just think it over, and when you decide, you know where to find me. So, Leon muttered, anyone going to tell me why you guys ever went into the same room as him? Hey hunters, your cult required break time is here. And BTW Palm's name is a pun on her Nen ability. She uses Wink Blue, like a palm reader seeing into your life. I don't get it. But seems important lol. Let's keep going. Chapter 33. Leon tapped his foot against the floor as Phaeton finally walked into the room and sat down at the table. Now that we are all here, we can address the issue at hand. What is our next step? The elder wants us to get rid of all Mafia influence inside the city with one attack. He says he will supply us with everything we need, so money is not a problem. I just want to hear what you all think. No one spoke for a while after Krilo asked his question. Personally, I don't care what we do. Whatever the majority wants, I'll go along with, Leon said, propping up his head with his hand. I think we should take it. Everyone's heads swiveled toward Maki, surprised that the Ice Queen had actually spoken. While I for one am tired of living in this city, I have to admit I'm fond of this place. I don't want it to fall into the Mafia's hands. With her part said, the others gave their input, and everyone agreed that the Mafia needed to be taken down. Okay then, who wants to go get the elder and bring him back to our base? After a long debate, Phaeton and Uvogin were selected to carry out the fetch quest. While they waited, Leon started planning how to take out the mob. The Mafia had warehouses spread throughout Meteor City. The only reason they were able to find them before was because of Pakunoda's ability to read memories. But the people they had access to only knew the location of 1 or 2 minor strongholds. What they needed was a commander high enough on the totem pole to have all the intel they required. That was when Leon called Illumi. With his Nen needles, infiltrating any organization was a piece of cake. After transferring Illumi his payment, Leon knew it was only a matter of time until information started to pour in. Once they had the locations of every warehouse and stronghold, that was when the elder would come in. After confirming it with Krilo, Leon was happy to find out that the elder's Nen ability was the Sun and Moon, the same ability used in the tramp incident. Nearly an hour later, Uvogin and Phaeton returned with the elder in tow. After filling him in on the plan, the elder clapped his hands in appreciation. Very well done. Maki always talked about how smart you were. Grinning, Leon laughed nervously as Maki sent him death glares just begging him to make fun of her. Anyways, how long until your brother gives us a target? It could be days, weeks, who knows? Leon said with a shrug. Well, as long as we have time, I would like to see how my students have matured after leaving the nest. Wondering how he was going to be roped into this, Leon sat down and watched as the elder had everyone demonstrate their nen abilities in combat against each other. For the first time, Leon was able to see the full range of his friend's abilities. By far, Uvagin was the strongest, his punches broke the sound barrier. In second was Phaeton with his pain packer. In third was Kurlo, but Leon could tell that his ability could be one of the strongest in the world, given enough time. Then it was Nobunaga, Maki, Franklin, and finally Pakinoda. Hisako would probably faint in joy seeing this, and I have a feeling he won't stay away for long. Polishing his sword, Leon was almost done when his transmitter buzzed. Talk to me, Illumi. I've made my way into the camp. I'll update you every 12 hours until the final report. Okay, talk to you in 12 hours. Hanging up, Leon gave a thumbs up to the elder, who was watching him. He's infiltrated the camp. It should be any day now. Excellent. And I think that's where I take my leave. I'll be back tomorrow to see where we stand. Leaving the room, the elder let himself out. Again, I still don't understand how you guys ever trusted him. His energy is off-putting. He's like a child in a man's body at times. He grows on you, if you'd believe it. And after showing us Nen, we couldn't just turn down the opportunity, could we? Uvagin said as he plopped down on his bed. I'm turning in early, so tired after the sparring. Silently agreeing with Uvagin, Leon sheathed his sword, turning in for the night as well. 2 weeks later. He'll be inside the building with a broken fountain out front. You'll have 4 hours before people start asking questions. Thanks, Illumi, and get out of there as soon as possible. Things are about to get dicey. Hanging up, Leon grinned. Illumi came through. Pakinoda and I will go to the hostage to scan his memories and then dispose of the body. I'll text you the coordinates, and you all know what comes next. Why can't I just torture him? I can make him talk, Phaeton chimed in as Leon and Pakinoda walked toward the door. It's not a matter of if. It's when. If anyone catches wind of our plans, it's all over. They'll lock down every building searching for the mole, Maki replied, her words hanging in the air. Chapter 34. Stepping over the rubble, Leon walked into the dilapidated building to find a naked man strapped to a chair, his head covered by a bag. Walking over, Leon ripped off the bag, revealing an older man with a salt and pepper beard and a head of black hair. You, kid, get me out of here, and I won't kill you. Not answering, Leon stepped aside, letting Pakinoda stand in front of him. What are you two doing? Do you know who I am? Sighing, Pakinoda raised her hands to touch their hostage when the man tried to bite her fingers. Pulling back, Pakinoda narrowed her eyes. Don't pull away. The faster we get this done, the less I'll make you suffer, Leon said as he cleaned his nails of dirt. Don't make me laugh. What are you guys, some sort of little mafia, pretending to be dangerous criminals? Laughing at the absurdity of his own statement, the man didn't notice as Leon's finger moved toward his shoulder. Once he reached skin, Leon's finger pierced through the man's flesh like an all-through leather. Gasping in pain, the man screamed as Leon's finger pierced through bone, the fingertip appearing on the other side. You're close, but I wouldn't call us a mafia, more like a troop. Like the Boy Scouts. But the Boy Scouts can't make a grown man beg for mercy, can they? Twisting his finger, agitating the man's wounds, he added, now all you need to do is let my friend here ask some questions and touch you. And don't try to lie, we'll know. Looking back at Pakinoda, Leon nodded, stepping aside one final time. After their talk, the hostage answered all their questions. "I have everything we need." He lied on all the questions, by the way. "We can spare about 10 minutes, but that's it." Before the man could protest, his jaw was broken as Leon slapped him across the face, knocking a few teeth loose. "I told you we'd know." 10 minutes later, Leon exited the building, his shirt discarded. "That guy bled so much, and I only cut him twice. It was a good shirt, too." Pakinoda rolled her eyes as she pushed off the building she was leaning against. "Well, you had your fun. Let's go. They're going to be waiting for us. And you do know Phaeton is going to complain about you torturing someone without him. Just by being in a tank top and missing my shirt?" "I don't think so," Leon said, chuckling. 10 minutes later. Leon sighed as Phaeton sent him dirty looks from across the room. "Well, there goes $20. Walking over to the map of Meteor City, Leon marked down the 7 bases the Mafia had around the city. It wouldn't be long before they were all erased from the face of the earth. 1 hour later. "So everything's arranged, and you're sure these are the right locations?" "Yeah, I even went to each of these places myself. So everything's good to go. Just send your people in and everything should go as planned," Leon confirmed, looking up at the elder. "Are your fellow councilmen going to be okay with you doing this without them?" The elder shrugged. "Who knows? I might be kicked out of the city for a while at worst, but as long as this place remains, I'm fine with it." Nodding, Leon was silent before he spoke again. "You guys know, after this, the Mafia is going to place a bounty on our heads. Someone has seen our faces, so we're going to have to go our separate ways for a couple of years." No one made a sound, and the silence was growing before Krolo spoke up. "In 10 years, we'll hold a reunion, when we're all strong enough to live without worry." Emboldened by his words, everyone smiled, knowing that this would be the last time they'd see each other for the next 10 years. "Well, come on, we've got some shit to blow up," Uvagin said, punching his palm, his face split with a bloodthirsty grin. 2 hours later. 10 men sat around a round table, each of them wearing high-quality clothes and jewelry. At the head of the table, one of the men cleared his throat. "As you know, gentlemen, 3 years ago we started to invade Meteor City with the goal of creating a perfect cover for our operations. And I am proud to say that." The head don was interrupted as a man with medium-length hair and a ponytail, dressed in a black tuxedo with a forest green tie, whispered something into his ear. As he did, all the dons' phones started to ring, emergency contacts lighting up. "What do you mean all our bases exploded? We dealt with all the troublesome parties, and half of the council was assassinated. I want to know who did this, or I'll have your head on a pike by tomorrow." Scurrying away, the man closed the door behind him, not wanting to piss off some of the most powerful people in the world. Picking up his phone, the head don dialed a number, and it was only a few seconds before the call was answered. "Silva, what the hell is going on? I hired you to protect my interests. So why am I getting notified that all my strongholds have been blown to smithereens?" "I don't have to answer that. The Zoldyck family has repaid its favor," Silva said, hanging up immediately. Growing purple in the face, the head don crushed his phone, his anger knowing no bounds. Someone needs to die. Chapter 35. Leon looked down as sections of Meteor City exploded in bright balls of fire that lit up the sky. Appreciating their work come to fruition, Leon grinned. As the sun dipped ever lower on the horizon, bathing the world in an orange glow, Leon was ready to move on. "Can we go now? Everyone else is up, gone, and the smoke smells terrible." Leon sighed as he turned around to glare at Maki. "Tell me again why I agreed to travel with you." "Because you can't stand to be alone, and Uvagin is traveling with Krolo and Nobunaga. Also, I have a feeling that with you, things won't be too boring," Maki replied as she stood up from the rock she was resting on. So what's next? Where are we headed? You ever heard of the Hunter Association? Apparently, you can only get in by using NEN, and they're holding an exam in a few days. It might be fun. Want to go? Maki shrugged. Sure, I don't see why not. Okay then, I'll call us a blimp to drop us off, Leon said as he opened his phone before calling his private flyer. A few minutes later, Maki and Leon were on board a blimp, flying to the coordinates Leon had given the pilot. Gazing out the window, Leon looked over to see Maki knitting a pink scarf. What? Nothing. I just never imagined you'd know how to knit. Frowning, Maki narrowed her eyes before starting to knit again in silence. -2 hours later. Leon and Maki stepped off the blimp onto the helipad. So where is this supposed exam? And how long is it going to take? Apparently there's a boat we have to go on that will take us to the exam site, Leon said, scrolling through his phone. Come on, let's go. Sighing, Maki ran alongside Leon as they disappeared from view. Now down at the docks, Leon and Maki found that they weren't the only applicants. More than 20 people crowded the pier, everyone keeping to themselves, sizing each other up. Only 1 out of every 10,000 people actually passed the exam. Why does everyone look so tense? They act like they've been drafted for a suicide mission. Compared to everyone else, Leon looked like he was getting ready to go on a picnic. Hey, kid. Do you have a death wish? Looking behind him, Leon turned to see a boy about the same age as him. The boy was wearing a white overcoat with multiple golden rings on it, and baggy white pants with black dress shoes. His black hair was styled in a pompadour, and his face was scrunched up in a scowl. Who are you? Maki said, also turning to look at the strange boy. Holding out his hands, the boy smiled. The name's Knuckle, and you shouldn't draw attention to yourself. Gives these guys a reason to target you. Leon grinned. You seem to know something about the Hunter exam. Have you done it before? Just a little, it's my second time applying. Last year, I didn't even pass the first trial, Knuckle said, rubbing the back of his head. Hey, do you want to team up? 3 sets of hands are better than 2. Leon looked over to ask Maki, but she was already losing interest, going back to observing their competition. Sure, I don't see why not. Knuckle clasped his hands together and bowed at the waist. I promise you won't regret this. A few minutes later, a large boat entered the harbor, blowing its foghorn. Come on, guys. Rolling her eyes, Maki followed Leon, Knuckle not far behind. And I'm the one who hasn't been on a boat before. Finding a seat on the deck, Leon sighed as cool sea air kissed his skin. The peaceful moment was interrupted as a portly man, dressed in a captain's suit and smoking a pipe, addressed them. Now that you're all seated, I can tell you that for the next 5 hours we'll be sailing through the toughest weather most of you have ever seen. So get off now if you can't handle it. Seeing no one move, the captain nodded. Good. You all seem like a good batch, but we'll see about that. After an hour or so of sailing, clouds started to appear on the horizon. Narrowing his eyes, Leon used Gyo and could see that Nen was infused into the cloud. Hey Maki, you notice something strange about the storm? Yeah. It's probably some sort of test. We can wait it out, just try to keep it low-key, Maki said, her needles moving in a blur. Knuckle was more confused than ever. Who are these guys? Chapter 36. To the captain's word, a few hours later the boat was in the middle of a storm. The vessel bobbed and dipped with the waves as rain pelted the deck. Knuckle, Leon, and Maki were among the few who didn't go below deck. Knuckle had wanted to, but under the insistence of Leon, he agreed to stay. Leon looked up at the clouds that occasionally glowed with hidden lightning. With my training in Nen, I can withstand normal lightning, but something in those clouds seems unnatural, he thought. Even using Gyo, Leon and Maki weren't able to see anything unusual. Blinking the rain from his eyes, Leon began to question whether his trepidation was unfounded, until a tingling sensation spread throughout his body. Familiar with the feeling, Leon looked up to see the cloud above them glowing brighter. A second later, a stark white lightning bolt split the clouds and struck the side of the ship. Rushing to the rail, Leon saw that a section of the hull had been breached. Leon, Maki, and Knuckle had already started moving when the captain's voice boomed over the loudspeakers. "Listen, boys and girls, the test has just started. In less than 10 minutes, this ship will sink to the bottom of the ocean. Please make your way to the lifeboats, and remember, we're watching. Come on, I spotted one of the rafts, just make sure to jump where I jump," Knuckle shouted as he vaulted over the side. Looking before he leaped, Leon saw that Knuckle was now standing in a small wooden boat, with oars and enough space for 4 people. Once Leon and Maki were seated in the raft, Knuckle pulled the lever, dropping it into the ocean. "We need to get away from the ship, we don't want to be close when it sinks. The water it's going to displace will either push us out or suck us in," Maki yelled over the sound of crashing waves. Already moving, Leon began to paddle, steering the boat to a safe distance. They watched as the ship was slowly swallowed by the sea. "What are we supposed to do now? We're stranded in the middle of the ocean with no food or water," Knuckle shouted, fists clenched at his sides. Kneeling down, Leon felt along the bottom of the boat until his fingers touched a long metal cylinder. Grabbing it, Leon examined the chrome canister. Twisting the top, it opened with a hiss of compressed air. Reaching inside, Leon pulled out a piece of paper. Unrolling it, he found a map with their current location marked and an island circled in red. "I bet that's where the exam is. They did something like this last time I applied, to thin out the competition," Knuckle said, celebrating the fact that he still had a shot at becoming a hunter. "Even though we know where to go, does anyone here know how to sail?" Maki asked, glancing at the other lifeboats floating nearby. Knuckle looked to Leon, but for once, the assassin was of no use. "So what do we do? Just wing it?" Knuckle asked. Leon shook his head. "Too much risk. There has to be at least one person out there with some sailing experience. We'll just wait until they start to move and follow them." Knuckle frowned and crossed his arms. "They might not like that. Killing is permitted in the hunter exam." Leon grinned and patted his sword. "Don't worry about that, we can handle ourselves. And I have a feeling you can too." Keeping an eye out, after a few minutes Leon spotted a boat moving away from the rest, heading east. "I think I've got one," they're checking the map and pointing into the distance. Moving over to the oars, Knuckle began to paddle, following the boat Leon had pointed out. The island on the map was over 500 miles away, a nearly 3-day trip. Water and food were going to be an issue. While Leon could place them in a state of hibernation using his tempo field, it would only last a day before he exhausted his nen. Taking turns, the 3 of them paddled for an hour each. Their progress was slowed by staying behind the leading boat. It had been 8 hours since they left port, and the sun had already set, making the ocean air almost frigid. The boat they were following had stopped for the night, leaving them no choice but to do the same. "So where are you guys from?" Knuckle asked as he shifted in his seat. "My family lives on a mountain, other than that, I can't say." Knuckle leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Really? Do they own the entire mountain? Your parents must be loaded. Are they part of the mob?" Leon smiled and winked. "Sorry, can't say." "What about you, Maki?" Shrugging, Maki looked out at the other boat. "I grew up in a city. You've probably never heard of it. What about you?" "Me? I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. I miss it so much, but if I can become a hunter, all its problems will be solved." Chapter 37. Waking up as the sun bathed his skin, Leon yawned, stretched, and looked around. His heart started to race when he saw nothing but water all around. The other boat was gone. Looking down, Leon saw that Knuckle was asleep, despite being on watch. Nudging Knuckle with his foot, Leon roused the irresponsible teenager. "Go away, Mom. I'm not ready for school," Knuckle mumbled in his sleep. Sighing, Leon bent down and flicked Knuckle's forehead with a Nen-infused finger. Waking with a yelp of pain, Knuckle looked around for his attacker, until he saw the look on Leon's face. -2 hours later. Knuckle grunted as he rowed while Leon and Maki kept lookout for any signs of land. After about an hour, Leon thought he saw something, and a few seconds later, he confirmed it. Several miles away, a large cruise ship floated on the water, flying the flag of the Hunter Association. "We're heading in the right direction. Just keep paddling, Knuckle," Leon said. By the time they reached the ship, Knuckle was completely spent, bent over the side of the raft and vomiting into the ocean. Leon had offered to take a turn, but Knuckle had insisted on making up for his mistake. Pulling up alongside the ship, Leon, Maki, and Knuckle were helped aboard by crew members. Leon whistled in awe. It seemed the entire exam group was assembled on deck. There had to be hundreds of applicants. "Wow, I've never made it this far before. How strong are these people?" Knuckle muttered. Using Gyo, Leon scanned the crowd. Only about 10 individuals had an abnormal amount of Nen, and he was stronger than all of them. His focus shattered when the screech of a bullhorn drew everyone's attention. Looking over, Leon saw a young woman standing on top of a wooden stage. She was dressed in overalls and a straw hat. "Sorry folks, before I tell you what's next, let me just say, congratulations to all of you who've made it this far." There were a few scattered cheers, but the farm girl continued undeterred. "Now that you're here, we can begin the first trial of the exam. A few miles away, there's a secluded island where you'll all be stranded for 2 weeks. During that time, you must survive the native flora and fauna, both of which have been trained to attack humans on sight. The trial ends after 2 weeks or when only 100 people remain. You'll each be given a badge so we can track and retrieve you if it's broken. Once all the badges are handed out, we'll depart for the island. And remember, killing among participants is allowed." At that, the crowd fell silent as people began forming groups and staking out potential enemies. Leon looked around and noticed that almost everyone nearby was staring at his group. Without breaking eye contact, he released a wave of aura that sent people scurrying, until Maki smacked him on the head. "You're an assassin. Why do you always draw attention to yourself?" she snapped. While Maki and Leon argued, Knuckle was sweating as he stared at Leon. What the hell was that? When he looked at them, I just wanted to run and hide. "Knuckle, Knuckle, Earth to Knuckle." Blinking, Knuckle snapped out of it as Leon's words reached him. Yeah, sorry. My mind was elsewhere. What do you need?" "We're going over a plan for when we reach the island. I think we should take out some of the competition early. Maki says we should hide our strength for now. What do you think?" "I agree with Maki. We don't know how strong our enemies are, so we should at least secure food, water, and decent shelter first," Knuckle replied after a moment of thought. Groaning, Leon had no choice but to go along with his friends. Within minutes, everyone received a badge. Leon's number was 326, Maki's was 43, and Knuckles' was 295. As the ship neared the island, everyone prepared for deployment. "Now remember, we're always watching, and your actions will be judged. Now go out and survive." With those final words from the exam leader, the floodgates opened as participants rushed down the ramp to the island. Once they hit the sand, Leon, Maki, and Knuckle bolted for the forest as fighting had already begun behind them. Directing his aura outward, Leon repelled anyone who approached. Stomping over grass and underbrush, they didn't stop until the sounds of battle had faded. "Okay, I think we're good for now," Leon said. Climbing a nearby tree, Leon scanned the landscape. Breaching the treetops, he spotted a lake not far away. Dropping back down, he grunted, "I found a lake nearby. I suggest we head there before someone else sets up camp." Chapter 38. Leon cleared the way through the forest using N to ensure no one was following them. Breaking through the tree line, Leon signaled to Knuckle and Maki that everything was clear. "We should make camp here. With fresh water, most of our problems are solved," Leon said, looking at the clear lake nestled in the center of the valley. Its source was likely the snow-capped mountain nearby. Knuckle pointed toward a cliff. "I see a ledge up there big enough for the three of us. I don't want sand getting into the tent, it's impossible to get it out once it's in there. It would also give us an advantage to spot any threats before they spot us." "I'll go check it out," Leon said as he started climbing the cliff face. Disappearing over the ledge, Leon's head popped back up a second later. "We lucked out. There's even legroom up here." Climbing up after him, Maki and Knuckle agreed with Leon. "So what do we do next, food or shelter?" Knuckle asked as Leon and Maki kept watch on the tree line. "Personally, I'm going hunting. I haven't eaten since the boat ride over," Leon said. Without waiting, Leon jumped into the forest. Finding prey wouldn't be difficult for him, but he wanted to fight something. The monsters in his homeland had learned to flee from him ever since he discovered how tender monster steak was. After 20 minutes of finding nothing, Leon began to suspect there weren't any animals nearby, until something stung him in the neck. Spinning around, he spotted his attacker. The air shimmered as a car-sized chameleon uncloaked itself, its large eyes darting about, scanning for threats. Rubbing the sting on his neck, Leon felt the familiar burn of poison working through his veins. "I'm going to enjoy gutting you," he growled. As he advanced, he noticed the confusion in the creature's eyes. "Oh? Never had anyone survive your poison before? This is not going to be fun, for you." The chameleon tried to turn invisible again, but Leon wasn't having it. He was already angry it had snuck up on him, but using poison crossed the line. -5 minutes later. Leon sighed in disappointment. He had lost control and ruptured the lizard's poison gland, making the meat unusable. He was about to leave when the bushes behind him rustled. Reaching for his sword, he stopped short as a small creature tumbled out of the forest. Walking on short, stubby legs with a long body, a white leopard cub struggled to stand. Leon noticed its eyes weren't even open yet. "I wonder where your mother is," he murmured, walking over and bending down to scratch behind its ears. Mewling, the white leopard bit Leon's hand, trying to gnaw on his fingers. "So you're hungry too, huh? I guess I can take you with me." Picking up his new companion, Leon started to run. He winced as the leopard's claws dug into him. "Ouch, calm down, will you? I won't drop you." After a while, Leon came across a giant blue elephant with bright red tusks that branched out like coral. With a swift stroke of his sword, he killed the beast. Smelling the blood, the leopard squirmed until Leon set him down. The cub ran over to the elephant and started biting and clawing at it, unable to pierce the thick hide. Sighing, Leon began to butcher the corpse, tossing a few choice cuts to his new companion. "I should give you a name. How about Frank? You seem like a Frank." The leopard was not impressed. "Okay, too good for Frank. How about Immer?" Leon could hear the satisfaction in the cub's purr. "Immer it is. We should get going, a kill this big is going to attract baddies." Understanding him, Immer jumped into Leon's arms, his fur soaked in blood. "You're a messy eater," Leon muttered as Immer climbed onto his shoulder and nipped at his ear. With food in hand, Leon started to backtrack toward camp. While Leon was out hunting, Maki and Knuckle worked on setting up camp. Most of their time was spent making twine from long strips of plant fiber. Knuckle used a sharp rock to shred thin strands, and Maki twisted them together. Once they got into a rhythm, the process sped up. Maki tied off the last knot and set aside the final length of twine. That should be enough for now. Where do you think Leon is? I'm a little worried. He's been gone for 2 hours, Knuckle asked, his hands red from the rock digging into his palms. Don't worry about him. He can handle himself. Knuckle was silent for a moment, then spoke again. You two seem close. How do you know each other? Maki glared at Knuckle. I don't want to talk about it. He lived with us for a few years, and that's it. Storming off, Maki hopped off the ledge. I'm going to get firewood. Be useful and start working on the hut. Knuckle wondered what he'd said to upset Maki, but like most men, he had no idea. Sighing, he began to construct a lean-to, tying branches together with the twine they'd made. Was the question that bad? Chapter 39. Walking through the forest, Maki scolded herself for snapping at Knuckle. Why do I become so emotional when it comes to him? Even when fighting, I don't lose control, but just hearing his name can send me into a spiral. Images of Leon popped into Maki's head unbidden, his crystal blue eyes and easy smile. Shaking her head, Maki slapped her cheeks. Get a hold of yourself. He probably has no interest in me whatsoever. Maki was broken out of her thoughts when a twig snapped to her right. Reaching to her side, she grabbed several senbone needles from a pouch at her waist. Using N, Maki quickly realized she was surrounded by 5 individuals, their auras dark and twisted. Scowling, Maki already had a good idea of what they intended. I advise you to find someone else to force yourselves on, she warned. The men laughed as they stepped from hiding, their eyes roaming over Maki's form. You already know what's going to happen, the leader said. So how about you make this easy for all of us and don't put up a fight? The rest of the men panted like wolves in heat. I wish Leon would look at me like that, Maki thought bitterly. She sighed as the predators began to close in. Sprinting toward the leader, Maki gripped her needles tighter. That's it, come to daddy, the man sneered. Resisting the urge to kick him in the groin, Maki leapt over him in a graceful arc. Something flashed briefly before she landed. A second later, the man lost his head, a geyser of blood shooting from his neck. The remaining 4 turned pale with horror as Maki stood with bloody threads floating around her. One of the men stumbled back, turning to flee. I didn't sign up for this. I won't die here. Before his third step, Maki threw 2 needles, both piercing the backs of his knees. Screaming in pain, the man collapsed as Maki's threads wrapped around his legs and tightened, biting into flesh like wire. With a wet spurt of blood, his legs were severed. Smiling, Maki pulled back her threads, retrieving her needles. You 3 can go. I don't feel like killing anyone else. Like terrified rabbits, the 3 men bolted, only to drop dead a moment later, their heads severed by invisible threads. Huffing, Maki turned to head back to camp. I forgot to get firewood. Back at camp, Leon entered their hidden cove as Immer clawed at his leg, eyes begging for food. I told you already, you're not getting any more. I'll take you hunting tomorrow. Mewling, Immer hunched his back and hissed at Leon. Don't take that tone with me. Hey, Leon, who's your new friend? Knuckle called, looking down from a lean-to made of sticks. His name's Immer. I think I'm going to keep him. I found him all alone, no sign of his mother. Climbing up onto the ledge, Leon placed the stack of meat he'd hunted. Nice job on the hut. Where's Maki? Knuckle shrugged. She left not too long ago to collect firewood. She's mad at me for some reason. Don't worry about it. Maki's like that sometimes. She's probably already forgiven you, Leon said, picking up Immer, who was trying to sneak another steak. 20 minutes later, Knuckle and Leon sat around a fire, cooking elephant meat on wooden skewers. Looking up, Leon spotted Maki approaching, her clothes speckled with blood. "Hey, dinner's almost ready. Hurry, Immer is eyeing your portion and I don't know how long I can fend him off." A second later, Maki was seated on the ledge, skewer in hand. "So, where'd the blood come from?" Knuckle asked as Maki paused mid-bite. "I had to kill a few people. Nothing to fuss about." Knuckle blinked at how casually Maki said it. "Who are these people?" "They're younger than me, but death doesn't faze them at all." The rest of the meal was eaten in silence, and the night would have stayed that way, if not for the sound of a plane overhead. Looking up, Leon saw a small blimp flying over the island. "It's Livia, here to give you an update on the first day. There are 313 examinees left. That's it for your update today, Livia, signing off." Leon didn't know how many people had started the exam, but at this rate, it wouldn't last the full 2 weeks. Chapter 40. The first few days of the trial were a breeze. Most of the group's time was spent inside their lean-to, waiting and watching for any threats. Leon complained about how boring it was, and Immer seemed to agree. The only excitement was the daily hunt to find their meals. But after the first week passed, things started to change around the island. Leon noticed that during his hunts, he was encountering more and more predators. And the nights were no longer silent. Screams of animals fighting echoed through the darkness, making sleep nearly impossible. On the first day of this shift, the number of participants was almost cut in half. From that point on, the real trial began. The forest was never quiet. Then there was the big one. Every other night, something would roar, so deep and resonant that it vibrated the air itself. Immer was visibly disturbed, constantly pacing the ledge, his eyes darting around, searching for danger. Thanks to their hidden camp, they only had to fend off a few monsters, so by the final day, Leon, Maki, and Knuckle were in better shape than most. On that last day, Leon woke to the familiar sound of a blimp, but this time, it was in the morning rather than at night. Congratulations to all of you who have made it this far. As most of you have noticed, the monsters on the island have become highly aggressive. This is due to the pheromones we've been spreading throughout the island during our daily reports. On the north side of the island, there is a boat. Your final obstacle is to make your way through the jungle and reach that boat. You have 3 hours. Good luck. Leon had some very colorful words in mind, but before he could voice them, Knuckle and Maki were already packed and climbing down from the ledge. Scrambling to catch up, Leon scooped up the sleeping Immer and jumped off the ledge, rushing to join the others. Not bothering to be silent, Leon led the way. He had explored most of the island during his downtime, so he was the obvious choice. One of the main obstacles in their way was the monsters. Leon had already encountered the alpha creatures and mapped out their territories. All of them now seemed to be in an uproar. "I've heard of this pheromone before," Leon said. "It's called line blinder. Stupid name, but it's accurate. Normally, animals mark territory with urine or other bodily fluids. This chemical blinds their sense of smell, so they can't detect boundaries. It turns the island into a free-for-all until the chemical wears off." Leon glanced at Knuckle. "How do you know about that?" "My parents were both vets. I followed in their footsteps until I learned about all the magical beasts I could discover as a hunter. So I started studying to become a world-renowned beast hunter," Knuckle replied, panting from exertion. The rest of their sprint was silent as chaos unfolded all around them. Leon felt Immer stir from his slumber. Taken off guard, he didn't stop the leopard from letting out a mighty roar. Though it blended into the cacophony of the jungle, to Leon, it sounded like thunder. Quickly forming a stasis field around Immer, Leon subdued him, but the damage was done. Immer's roar had claimed the surrounding area as his territory. And naturally, something was already living there. A much louder, deeper roar followed, forcing Knuckle to cover his ears. The ground trembled under heavy footsteps. "Something big is coming our way." Take Immer and go on ahead, I'll catch up, Leon said, handing off the cub. Knuckle looked unsure. Can we really just leave him here? All alone? You should know the answer to that by now. Come on, Maki said, grabbing Knuckles' arm. She knew they'd only get in the way. Leon's eyes narrowed on the trees ahead as massive trunks were toppled aside. A wide grin spread across his face as he saw his target, a giant dog, nearly 15 feet tall, burst from the forest. It had 3 heads, all of them foaming at the mouth. Never faced a Cerberus before, Leon muttered as his body began to steam. It's been too long since I had a challenge. Moving at triple speed, Leon teleported in front of the beast, aiming to decapitate one of the heads, but was met by a sea of flames from all 3 mouths. Teleporting away, Leon skidded across the ground, gouging the earth beneath him. Regaining his footing, he leapt again, this time attacking from behind. Stabbing where the spine should be, Leon's blade hit something solid. Grinning, he pushed deeper, twisting his sword to sever the creature's spinal cord. The Cerberus collapsed, paralyzed. Quickly severing all 3 heads, Leon took a moment to pull out the monster's 6 massive canines. He stuffed them into his pocket with a sigh of regret. Would have been cool to tame you. A 3-headed guard dog for the testing gates, like Cerberus guarding the gates of hell. Pushing the thought aside, Leon took off running toward the north side of the island, with plenty of time to spare. Chapter 41. Catching up with Maki and Knuckle. Leorio, sorry, I mean Leon jumped down in front of them. I thought you'd take longer. Oh, you know me well enough by now, I like to get things done quickly, Leon said while Knuckle handed over Immer. I'm glad you're okay, but we still need to get going. We've got a few miles ahead and only an hour and a half left. Obeying Knuckle, the 3 resumed their trek. With no further interruptions or guests, they made it to the same cruise ship with little time to spare. Panting, Knuckle collapsed, sweat shining on his skin. I don't understand how you 2 aren't dying. It's a technique, I'm sure you'll figure it out someday, Leon replied, offering a hand. Knuckle took it and stood up, smiling. Damn right I will. Leon and Knuckle laughed as everyone else on board eyed them curiously. Will you 2 stop drawing attention? Maki's voice carried across the deck. Leon stuck out his tongue at Maki. Come on, just lighten up a little. Just this once, for me. Leon's plea fell on deaf ears as Maki walked away. I can never get her to smile, Leon muttered. When he felt Immer stir in his arms, he looked down to see Immer yawning from his nap. Look who decided to join us. You almost got us into a lot of trouble, Immer hissed, jumping from Leon's arms onto the deck. Sniffing the air, he turned to Leon. Go explore, just don't be long. Ignoring Leon, Immer padded off to explore the new surroundings. Congratulations to the 120 of you who made it this far. You will have 3 days of rest before your next challenge. You can each find your room, it's the same number as your badge. Please enjoy your 3 days, came the announcement. So, what should we do now? Knuckle asked, glancing toward Maki and Leon. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to find my room and take a hot shower, Leon replied, running off into the crowd. Knuckle frowned, turned to speak to Maki, but she had wandered off too. Well, he sighed, I guess I'll find my room, too. After his shower, Leon toweled off and changed into a clean set of clothes, the first time he'd done so in 3 weeks. That was heavenly. I wonder how Maki and Knuckle are doing. We'll meet up eventually. I should see what this ship holds in store. Stepping out, Leon opened the door and found Immer pawing at it. Did you have fun on your own? He asked. Immer mewed, pacing around Leon's feet and rubbing against his shins. Fine, let's go, there's bound to be somewhere that serves food. Looking at a map, Leon made his way to the dining hall. As with every buffet he'd encountered before, there was a mix of booths, tables, and people waiting in line. Leon grabbed a plate and, within minutes, was heaped with food. Sitting at an empty table, he reached for chopsticks and began to eat. Suddenly, Immer hopped onto the table and sniffed his plate. "This plate is mine. Go get your own," Leon said, but Immer sulked off with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Leon was too focused on his meal to notice. As Leon finished his first course and reached for seconds, the sound of spilling cutlery interrupted him. Looking over, he saw Immer racing toward his table with a chicken leg in his mouth. Immer hopped up and dropped it on Leon's plate. Suddenly a voice roared, "Where is that goddamn cat? I want to skin it alive." Leon turned to see a well-dressed man with long blonde hair, small dark eyes, and a suit stained with spilled food. "You there, boy, is that your cat?" Leon blinked. In an instant, the man was within a foot of his face. "Huh, he's a leopard, not a cat, but yes, he's mine. Is there a problem? And what are your eyes for, just decoration? Your pet jumped into my plate, spoiled my meal, then had the nerve to steal my food." Leon glanced at Immer, who was gnawing the chicken leg with pure satisfaction. "I apologize for his behavior and for ruining your suit. I suggest you have it washed before the stain sets permanently." Turning back to his meal, Leon was about to take a bite when the arrogant man kicked his table over, sending food flying onto Leon's lap. "Oh, my bad," the man sneered. "You should get that washed too, before it stains permanently." The man was about to walk away, laughing, when a firm hand landed on his shoulder. "Hey!" The man spun around, ready to berate Leon, but paused as a cold tension swept through the dining hall. "You ruined my meal. You have to pay me." The man's knees visibly shook. "You'll pay, right? With that suit of yours, you certainly can afford it." Chapter 42-. Leon's aura blanketed the room, almost suffocating everyone inside. The man closest to Leon fared the worst, completely unresponsive, his eyes rolled back into his skull. As Leon tightened his grip on the man's collar, his bloodlust suddenly receded, dispelled by the sharp clap of someone's hands. I must remind all examiners that, at this stage, killing is strictly prohibited. Grunting, Leon released the man, letting him crumple to the floor. Looking up, he saw headhunter Livia standing in the restaurant doorway. "And you, boy, don't cause any more trouble, you hear? This prick had it coming, but remember to control your strength," Livia advised as she slung the unconscious man over her shoulder like a sack of flour. "Fine, but who's going to pay for my meal?" Grunting, Livia tossed Leon a card. Catching it, Leon read aloud, "Food. Pass. All meals included." Smiling, Leon didn't stick around. He headed right back to the buffet for more food. Turning away, Livia thought, how is that boy so strong? That wasn't even his full aura, and I could barely push it back. And those eyes. He's lived with death every day of his life. Shaking her head, Livia sighed. No point dwelling on it now. Needless to say, no one messed with Leon again. As he returned to the buffet line again and again, everyone cleared a path for him, hoping not to draw his ire. Not wanting a repeat incident, Leon made a separate plate for Immer. The cat, well, leopard, had an insatiable appetite. If meals weren't included, Leon's bank account would have taken a serious hit. By the end of the hour, both Leon and Immer were bloated, their stomachs perfectly spherical. So much food. Leon groaned, resting his head on the table. It's too much. So it was you who caused all this commotion. Leon looked up to see Knuckle sitting across from him. Knuckle, I ate too much. I need to see a doctor. Shaking his head, Knuckle patted Leon on the shoulder. Don't worry, a good nap will solve all your problems. Sighing, Leon reached into his pocket and handed over his food pass. I got us all you can eat for free. Standing, Leon scooped up Immer and slowly made his way back to his room. The moment he hit the bed, Leon passed out. Even if the ship hit an iceberg, he wouldn't budge an inch. 2 hours later. Snoring, Leon felt something wet touch his cheek. Groaning, he tried to roll over, but the wetness followed. Opening his eyes, Leon found Immer licking his face. "What do you want?" Immer jumped off the bed and began pacing near the door. "I thought cats didn't need to be walked." "People who walk cats are weird," Leon muttered, sighing as he opened the door. Immer bolted out. "Go have fun, and don't get me into any more trouble," Leon called out. "And I thought I'd learned my lesson when I had to take care of Mike for a year." Extending his aura to cover half the ship, Leon searched for his friends. Maki was relaxing in a spa, while Knuckle was training at the gym. "I guess I'm on my own for now." Leaving his room, Leon visited the ship's only store, but store was an understatement. It was a one-stop shop for all things survival. Seizing the opportunity, Leon stocked up on tents, canned food, canteens, ropes, and more. An hour later, Leon left with 3 canvas bags bulging at the seams. So that's everything taken care of. Now all that's left to do is relax. A few minutes later, Leon floated in an infinity pool, sipping from a coconut. "I've always wanted to do this. But it's hard to drink while floating. I need one of those inflatable floats." 3 days later. Everyone gathered once more on the ship's deck to learn their next task. Leon, Maki, and Knuckle found each other in the chaos. "In just a few hours, this ship will dock at a wharf near the Gordau Desert. Your task is to make it to York New City and find your way to the next exam location. I suggest you visit the ship's store for supplies. Now go." Like rabbits, everyone dashed toward the store, knowing it would soon run dry. "Oh crap," Knuckle exclaimed, "there's no way anything will be left, and I don't even think we have enough money." Before he could run far, Maki caught him by the collar. "Hold your horses. Leon has that annoying look again, means he's 3 steps ahead of us. You know me well. I already bought everything we'll need. So we can just relax for the next few hours." "Really? How did you know we need it?" Knuckle asked. Leon shrugged. "It's what I do. So, what should we do now?" Knuckle shook his head. "Don't worry about it. While everyone else is scrambling, we'll just sit back and relax." Chapter 43-. Leon, Maki, and Knuckle waited on deck as the boat approached the Gordau Desert. By the time they arrived, the sky was dark and frigid. Leon and Maki were mostly unaffected, but Knuckle was bundled up and still felt the cold deeply. "I don't understand how you guys can stand there in that clothing. It has to be below freezing." Maki grunted at Knuckles' question. "Come on. The focus now is entering the next trial. This one shouldn't be too hard. All we have to do is walk in a straight line and, boom, we're in the city," Leon said. "Wait, what do we do when we get to the city?" "They never told us what's next," Knuckle asked, still shivering in his boots. Leon nodded. "It's all part of the trial. You can't expect them to hold our hand every step of the way." "I know, but a little hint would have been nice, is all." The 3 fell quiet after that, waiting for the trial to begin. 3 hours later, the cruise ship docked at a pier in the middle of nowhere. The moment you stepped off the dock, you were in the Gordau Desert. Crossing the Gordau Desert is no easy task. The days are scorching, while the nights, as you can see, can freeze you to the very ground. Once again, your task is to reach York New City and locate the next examination site. You have 4 days. Good luck. There was a mad dash to disembark. Leon, Maki, and Knuckle hung back slightly. This trial was like a marathon, about conserving energy and resources to maintain a steady pace and reach the goal in time. We should get going. We don't want to fall too far behind, Leon said as he hopped off the railing and began walking. Leon, Maki, and Knuckle were quickly left behind in a cloud of dust kicked up by the stampede of examinees. Everyone else was far ahead. But based on Leon's predictions, most of them would collapse long before reaching York New City. For Leon and Maki, it was no more than a peaceful stroll, even while jogging. Knuckle, however, was faring much worse. The freezing air clawed into his lungs. Can't fall behind. Gotta keep going. Leon glanced back and saw that Knuckle was struggling. I might have to explain it to him later, but for now, this will do. Creating a tempo field, Leon increased Knuckle's physical activity subtly, raising his body temperature. Feeling the change, Knuckle smiled. Thanks, Leon. I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. Running through the night, Leon used his tempo field to maintain their pace. Knuckle even had to ditch his coat to keep from overheating. They passed several people who had collapsed from overexertion. Knuckle was stunned by how long they had been running. The sun was starting to rise, turning the once pitch-black sky a vibrant orange. All right, we set up camp here for the day. No need to rush, Leon said as they stopped at a rocky outcrop. I can't cool us down when the sun's up, so we'll rest until nightfall. Setting up camp, Leon lit a fire. In a few minutes, everyone had a plate of food. As Leon sat down to eat, Knuckle asked a question. Hey, Leon, how do you guys do all that mystical crap? You seem to have endless stamina. And what you did back there when we were running? Leon considered for a moment, then nodded. Okay, I'll give you a basic explanation. Inside every living being, there's an energy called aura. Certain people, like Maki and me, can sense and manipulate it. We are called Nen users. With this power, we can accomplish feats that ordinary humans couldn't dream of. Knuckle tilted his head. Is it really that amazing? I wonder if I've ever met someone using this so-called Nen. Here, let me show you. Walking a few meters away from camp, Leon picked up a small rock. Testing its weight, he nodded. Then, winding up like a pitcher, Leon exhaled and threw the rock. A sonic boom cracked through the air, and a second later, a plume of dirt exploded a few miles away. That was shorter than Uvoggin's. You only got past the 3-mile mark. A tick mark appeared on Leon's forehead as Maki compared him to his rival. Anyway, pretty impressive, right, Knuckle? Leon grinned. Knuckle stared, dumbfounded. How could something like that be kept secret? You're telling me there are superhumans living all over the world? Picking up his plate again, Leon started to eat. Well, most of the world's Nen users are actually hunters. You don't officially qualify as one until you've learned Nen. What? Then you have to teach me. I need to become a hunter. My town's future depends on it. Knuckle shot to his feet, fists clenched. But Leon looked at him with a calm, unwavering seriousness. I won't teach you. And stop right there. Quick break. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's enough. Keep moving. Chapter 44 - What do you mean you won't teach me? Knuckle clenched his fists. I don't want to teach you. Some people have trained thousands. After completing the exam, find one of them. Knuckle gritted his teeth but eventually sat back down. The rest of the meal passed in silence. After sleeping through the day, they broke camp at sunset to begin the final leg of their journey. Within an hour, York New City came into view. Its tall skyscrapers lit up the night with a myriad of colors. Entering the city, Knuckle was overwhelmed by the brightness, the crowd, and the unfamiliar smells. Leon noticed that Maki seemed a little unsettled as well, but he knew she would adapt. Okay, let's split up. Call me on this if you find anything. Leon tossed Maki and Knuckle each a beetle phone. Stay on task, don't get distracted by the flashing lights. Walking through the city, Leon blocked out the noise and extended his hand, searching for anything suspicious. I agree with Knuckle now. This is going to be a pain. Though he didn't find the next exam site, Leon did notice someone with an unhealthy fixation on him. Dark suit? Check. Glasses? Check. Gun? Check. Earpiece? Check. No doubt, he's Mafia. While debating whether to confront them, Leon sensed multiple Nen signatures entering his N. With nothing else to go on, he decided to check it out. His trail led him to a bar that looked just like any other. Opening the door, Leon walked in and sat at the counter. Kid, you're too young to drink. Go find your parents. Nah, I'm not here to eat. I want to ask a question. This the location of the next Hunter exam? What are you talking about, kid? You drunk or something? Leave before I call the cops. Leon didn't move. Scanning the room, he confirmed multiple Nen users inside. This can't be a coincidence, 5 Nen users in one place. Just as he was about to leave, the door opened and the same Mafia agent stepped in. Cursing silently, Leon pretended not to notice the man, though his outfit stood out glaringly. Hey, old man, can I use your bathroom before I go? Humph, fine, but make it quick. Third door on the right. Thanks. Leon calmly walked to the bathroom and locked the door behind him. Pulling out his Beetle phone, he called Maki. Did you find it already? No. Just wanted to warn you, the Mafia is in town, and one of them is following me. They might have our pictures, so be careful. Got it. Hanging up. Alright. See ya. Hanging up, Leon closed the toilet lid and climbed onto it, using it to reach the window. I hope no one saw me. Guess I was just unlucky with those Nen users, they must have been here on business. We've got about a day and a half to find the site. I should get somewhere high. Later, Leon sat perched on top of a skyscraper, feet dangling over the edge. He had found no leads. Have you been up here all day? Maki stood behind him. Leon sighed. You know I haven't. I thought having a vantage point would help, but I can't see anything through all these blinking lights. Maki squinted. They kind of make an arrow. If you look the right way. Standing up, Leon squinted too. Yeah, they sort of do. Want to check out where it leads? It's all we've got. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop, Leon and Maki followed the pattern to a familiar-looking bar. Wait. I've been here before. Knew my instincts wouldn't lie to me. There were 5 Nen users inside. That didn't tip you off? Don't blame me, I was being tailed. I just wanted to get out. Maki cut in, speaking of, we're surrounded. I sense about 30 people. Why don't you head inside and call Knuckle while I deal with this? Don't keep me waiting. Turning to face the empty street, Leon called out, stop hiding and come fight me. Don't tell me you're scared of a 12-year-old. The taunt worked. Men in black poured out, surrounding him. Don't make us kid killers. Just come quietly and we'll kill you quickly. Leon smiled. Can't say the same for you. 5 minutes later. So this is the place Maki said to meet up, Knuckle muttered as he turned the corner. Oh, Knuckle, you made it. Let me just finish off this last guy. Knuckles' jaw dropped as he stared at the pile of bodies behind Leon. I feel sorry for them. Stop standing around with your mouth open. Come on, the final test is upon us. It's gonna be so much fun. Knuckle grinned. Only one more obstacle between me and my goal. Hold on, Mom, Dad. Everything's going to turn out fine. Your son is going to become a hunter. Hey, Knuckle, hurry up. Chapter 45-. Entering the bar, Leon and Knuckle were waved over by Maki, who was sitting at a corner table. That took longer than I expected, Maki said. I needed to relieve some stress. Sue me. But what's the deal with the exam? Is this really the location? Maki nodded. So far, I've recognized 3 people from the Hunter exam. While you were busy, they all disappeared. I'm pretty sure there's a hidden elevator that takes you to the exam room. Knuckle looked confused. How can you be sure? Just because they disappeared? Leon tapped the side of his head. It's a Nen technique, we can sense people within a certain range. And Maki's right. There are people below us. About 20 of them, not counting the examiner. Okay then. How do we get down there? Where's the elevator? Knuckle asked, scanning the bar for anything unusual. It should be behind the bar. We could force our way in, but I'd like to leave that as a last resort, Leon said. I do have an idea, though. If only I hadn't left Immer on the ship, this would have been so much easier. Oh yeah, now that I think of it, I haven't seen him at all. You just left him there alone? Leon waved off Knuckles' concern. He'll be fine. He's a smart cat. Now, time to execute the plan. After giving Knuckle and Maki a quick rundown, Leon walked over to one of the rowdier tables. With deft hands, he stole all their wallets, then discreetly planted them on another group of drunk patrons. He walked back to the first group and tapped one of the men on the shoulder. Hey, mister, I saw someone at that table over there steal your wallet. What? Is that right? Well, I'm gonna have to do something about that. It didn't take long for a full-blown bar fight to erupt. In the chaos, Leon, Maki, and Knuckle slipped behind the bar and found a hidden panel that called the elevator. Pressing the only button inside, they waited as the elevator began its descent. The ride lasted longer than expected. Finally, the elevator gave a telltale ding as the doors opened. What is this place? Knuckle asked, awestruck. Leon had to agree. The underground room was the size of an airplane hangar. But it wasn't empty. A massive obstacle course spanned the perimeter, filled with spikes, flames, crocodile-infested water, and more. I wonder if I can get my dad to let me build something like this in our backyard. It'd be pretty fun, Leon muttered. Knuckles stared at him. Your family can afford something like this. Just who are your parents? Leon brushed off the question again. Doesn't matter. Look, everyone's waiting for us. Where Leon pointed, a group of people stood in the center of the room, all eyes on the trio. Stop drawing attention. Also, 2 people down there can use Nen. I think they've already found us out, Maki said, flicking Leon on the forehead. Ow. Fine. Just don't hit me, it hurts even when you're not using Nen. I'll stop hitting you when you stop being a moron. Let's go. Walking toward the center, Leon, Knuckle, and Maki positioned themselves at the edge of the crowd, careful to avoid the 2 Nen users. A few minutes later, Livia stepped forward. Congratulations to all of you for making it this far. This will be the final trial before the last exam. Behind me, as you've noticed, is an obstacle course. Your task is to reach the end. The first 10 people to finish will move on. All others will be disqualified. As with previous trials, combat is permitted, but please be mindful of your strength. Excessive force will not be tolerated. Please make your way to the starting line. Once everyone was lined up, Leon glanced over at Knuckle. Hey, Knuckle, just wanted you to know. From here to the end of this race, we're no longer friends. Hey. I could say the same. Nen or not, I'm planning to win. Just promise, no hard feelings after. That goes for you too, Maki. Is everyone ready? Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Leon immediately shot to the front. He was done holding back, an obstacle course wasn't worth wasting time. Looking back, he stuck out his tongue at Knuckle, who was choking on his dust. Reaching the vertical wall, Leon scaled it with ease and dropped down the other side, pressing the button to complete the trial in under 5 minutes. Chapter 46-. After Leon, Maki came in second, followed by the 2 non-users, and the remaining 5 spots were taken by regular examinees, none of whom Leon cared about. Knuckle came in dead last, however, which Leon expected. Damn it, why can't I catch a break? Leon walked over as Knuckle collapsed in frustration. Making it this far is no small accomplishment. That's only thanks to you and Maki. I can't do anything on my own. Knuckle, from what I can tell, you have no prior training, no fighting skills, and 0 useful knowledge. But the good thing? All of that can be fixed. There's no limit, you can attempt the Hunter exam as many times as you need to become smarter and stronger. I don't have time to train. I need a Hunter license to save my hometown, Knuckle said, punching the ground. Fine, go charge headfirst into every problem you face. Sometimes it'll work, but more often than not, you'll get yourself killed. That was Leon's final remark to Knuckle, as he walked away to join the rest of the winners. You didn't have to be so harsh, you know, Knuckle called after him. Leon sighed. He needed to hear it. Without us, he never would have made it this far. Unlike Yuvagin, he doesn't have that raw strength to cover for his lack of foresight. I can tell, nothing will stop him from reaching his goal. Leaving behind the obstacle course, Leon, Maki, and the other 8 successful examinees were escorted to an air blimp bound for the final trial. On board, everyone was tense, so taut you could cut it with a knife. They learned the final round would be one-on-one combat, and only 5 would pass to become hunters. Leon wasn't worried, the only 3 who might threaten him were significantly weaker. He took the opportunity to nap, but Maki woke him. Hey, idiot. We're here. Leon stretched and blinked. Just a few more minutes. Please, no more training. You're not at home, stupid. Hunter exam. Final trial. One-on-one combat. Now fully awake, Leon grinned. Of course I remember. I just had a bad dream. Let's get this over with. Walking down the ramp from the blimp, Leon was awestruck. They stood amid a mountain range, snow-capped peaks, towering evergreens. At the center was a large dirt fighting ring, above it sat a small dais where an older man observed. He wore his hair in a ponytail, had a thick beard, and stretched earlobes with 2 piercings in each. Welcome all to the final exam of the 276th Annual Hunter Exam. I am Isaac Netero, Chairman of the Hunter Association. I shall personally oversee this last trial. Isaac Netero. The only man to face Maha and survive. He might appear weak, or even senile, but beneath that facade lies a killer. I wonder how long I could last in a fight with him. Now, a few rules. Killing is not permitted. Should you kill your opponent, you'll be disqualified. To win, you must force your opponent to surrender, or continue until one fighter can no longer continue. With that said, I will now draw the pairs. First, Maki Komisine vs. Breed Stenton. Next, Sun Lily vs. Paul Baker. And finally, Leon Zoldyck vs. Ingrid Hammond. So, it seems Maki is unstoppable. All I have to do is play my cards right, and this should be a breeze. Leon moved outside the ring as Maki and Breed faced off. Hey Maki, don't take too long. I want to go home, this is boring. Maki scowled inwardly. That idiot, can't he just stay quiet like every other assassin? Ignoring everyone's glares, Leon sat back in his chair and promptly fell asleep. Netero didn't seem particularly interested in the match, he already knew who'd win the moment they stepped off the blimp. What truly caught his attention was the heir to the Zoldyck legacy. Leon Zoldyck. Even at his age, that kind of strength. These younger generations keep me on my toes. Maybe he will be the one to finally conquer that accursed land and end the world's troubles. While Netero stroked his beard in thought, Maki and Breed began their duel. I commend your strength for reaching this stage, but unfortunately, I must stop you to further my own goals." Maki scowled and vanished, leaving Breet bewildered. He looked frantically around, trying to find Maki, but found he couldn't move. Maki's threads had already bound him in place. What's going on? I can't move. What are these strings? They're so strong. Breet struggled, which only tightened the threads. Please stop struggling, it will only make things worse. Chapter 47 Please surrender. You can't hope to escape. My threads are indestructible, you're only prolonging the inevitable. Breet tried everything to escape, but true to Maki's word, nothing he did could break the threads. Still, Breet refused to submit, so Maki pulled tighter, her threads biting into his flesh. The pain finally broke him, he surrendered, making Maki the victor. She was escorted to a separate room, where all the winners would later receive their licenses. When it was finally his turn, Leon was half asleep, but Ingrid's bloodlust snapped him awake. I've never seen someone so young use Nen, boy. But whatever you've learned won't be enough to beat me. Leon wasn't impressed by Ingrid's repeated use of boy, but after his fight with Hisoka, he'd learned never to underestimate an opponent. When the match began, Ingrid charged, arms outstretched to grab him. Toying with the man, Leon sidestepped at the last moment, feigning a strained expression to keep Ingrid hopeful. After a few minutes of teasing, Leon decided to end it. He pretended to trip. Leon stumbled, baiting Ingrid to try grabbing him again. This time, Ingrid's Nen-infused arms wrapped around Leon's waist. Didn't even get a chance to use Nen, boy. Give up now, so I don't have to break your pretty little bones. Smiling, Leon activated his Nen, slowly breaking Ingrid's hold. His expression, cold, calculating, reminded him of his assassin days. Like a snake, Leon locked his arms and legs around Ingrid's neck and squeezed. After 5 minutes of pressure, Ingrid slumped to the ground, unconscious. Extracting himself from the 200-pound man, Leon grinned. Maybe I should go back home. I forgot how fun killing people is. Oh God, I sound like a 2-bit villain. Entering the room with the other 4 winners, Leon sat beside Maki. That took longer than expected. Any problems? No. Just wanted to play with my food a little, Leon said with a devilish smile. A few minutes later, Netero entered through a side door, smiling. Congratulations, you are now all officially hunters. Once you receive your license, you're free to go. Come up when I call your name. One by one, the winners were called to receive their hunter licenses. Leon was the last, and just as he turned to leave, Isaac Netero placed a hand on his shoulder. Could you stay a moment? There's a special job I'd like you to consider. If you wish, you may bring your friend as well. Please join me in the back room. With that cryptic message, Netero disappeared through the door he'd come from. Well? What do you think? Should we follow him or not? Leon asked as Maki stopped beside him. I know you want to. You can't just ignore a mission from the chairman without knowing the details. Come on, let's not keep him waiting. Following Netero into the room, Leon took in the traditional tea space. Netero had already laid out 3 cups and 2 seats. Sitting down in traditional style, Leon thought back to time spent with his family in their own tea house. I'm glad you both joined me. The matter I want to discuss is no small task. Leon took a sip of the tea, sighing at the quality of the blend. What is it, old man? Must be something dangerous, huh? Chuckling, Netero nodded. You're right. This job involves the most dangerous place on Earth, the Dark Continent. Leon's smile faded. I can't go there. That place is a death sentence. Even the gnats there could kill me. You, of all people, know how hellish it is. Netero turned somber. I know I'm asking much, but please understand, I don't want you to go now. In 10 years, a team will be assembled, The strongest nen users in the world. It will be the 7th expedition to the Dark Continent. I'd like you to be part of that task force. If you don't mind me asking, Maki interjected, why ask a 12-year-old to join an expedition to the most dangerous place on Earth? Smiling, Netero's eyes gleamed. Your friend here has the potential to become the strongest nen user in the world. Generations of training have built something unique within him. His potential exceeds even your grandfather, Maha Zoldyck. Still, I can't go to the Dark Continent. It's the one place my family has forbidden me to go, and you know why. Netero nodded. Zig Zoldyck. He and I explored that accursed land together. He died. I survived. I'm sorry, but I have to go now, people to kill and all. Standing up, Leon practically ran from the room. Please give him my apologies, Netero said softly. Maki nodded and left him alone in the tea room. She found Leon outside, leaning against the wall. Want to tell me what that was back there? Leon sighed. You have to understand, I've lived with death my entire life. It's practically my bedmate. But the Dark Continent? That place is something else. I was trained never to go there. It's hell on earth. Chapter 48 Maki let the subject drop. She had never seen Leon like this. Even after boarding the air blimp, Leon remained silent. Normally, Maki would have been fine with that, but the look on his face was unfamiliar, and she didn't like it one bit. Once they were back in York New City, Leon stepped off the blimp, when Immer jumped into his arms out of nowhere. Hissing, Immer dug his claws into Leon's chest. Prying the angry cat off of him, Leon scratched behind his ears until he calmed down. I guess I deserved that. Glad to have you back, buddy. Immer turned his back on Leon, but eventually hopped back to his usual spot on Leon's shoulder. Hey Maki, let's go have some fun. Just the two of us. We can check out some food stalls or something. Maki froze. Just the two of us? Isn't that a little strange? Grabbing her hand, Leon pulled her along. Why would it be weird? It's just like shopping in Meteor City. Only this time it's for food and fun, not survival. Pulling Maki to the first food stall he could find, Leon bought 2 of everything, handing 1 of each to her. Come on, try it. Taking a small bite, Maki's eyes lit up. It's good, isn't it? Maki didn't even glare at him. She took a bite of the grilled squid, and her eyes grew even wider. Grinning, Leon watched her quickly devour the squid, her eyes practically sparkling for more. Leon could sense the incoming financial damage, but it would be worth it. They visited every food stall they could find. Maki loved each and every one. By the end of the hour, Leon worried her eyes might stay like that permanently. He was surprised by how much she ate, but he was also glad to see this side of her. He didn't know she could have this much fun. Or any fun at all. By night's end, their stomachs were full and they were laughing openly. I didn't know you could have this much fun, Maki. You don't have to be a stick in the mud all the time. Maki pouted and blushed. Leon couldn't help but smile. Thanks for letting me see this side of you. And for giving me space earlier today. But why don't you show this side to anyone else? Maki shrugged. When I first joined the group, I was still recovering from the shock. Having your whole family taken from you in minutes. I shut everyone out. After a while, it just became who I was. There's something about you, your energy. At first, I thought you were just some fool. But now. Maki fell silent and stepped a little closer to Leon. Smiling, Leon took her hand. I tend to have that effect on people. And we still have a few more hours of sunlight. Let's find more fun. Maki could only blush and nod as Leon pulled her along. The rest of the night, they explored anywhere that looked fun. In the end, they got separate rooms, using their hunter licenses to pay and to avoid suspicion about why two 12-year-olds were traveling alone without supervision. When they met up the next morning, Maki looked like her usual self, but Leon noticed a slight blush on her cheeks. "So, what's the plan now?" Maki asked, averting her eyes. "Well, we're hunters now, so let's go complete some hunts." "That's a little boring. Let's make it more interesting." "Oh? What do you suggest? A wager? I'm in." "Okay then. First person to complete the most hunts in 1 month gets to eat at any restaurant they want, loser pays. And the winner gets to make one request of the loser." Leon smiled. "Fine. I'll see you in 1 month. Just one question, where do we apply for hunts?" Maki didn't have an answer, but on the back of their hunter licenses, they found a code to access the official hunter website via their phones. Following the instructions, Leon pulled up a list of available jobs in their area. "Oh, this guy has a pretty sizable bounty. Well, I've got my first job. Meet you back here tonight." Maki nodded, and they split to take on their own hunts. Leon looked down at the job listing on his phone. Julius Markov, wanted on 3 counts of sexual assault and kidnapping. Leon sighed. Same story, different day. I mean, he's not even that ugly. Must be a mental issue. Chapter 49 Using the network he had built from the ground up during his time as an assassin, Leon locked in on his target collection. The tricky part was that Julius was wanted alive, so Leon couldn't go all out. He wasn't surprised to learn that his target was involved in a human trafficking ring. The entire operation was being run out of an old butcher factory. At first, Leon thought a place like that would have to be regularly inspected, but he realized quickly that someone had likely been paid off. When he arrived at the factory, Leon sighed as guards openly carried rifles near the front gate. But it was no problem. Targeting the nerve cluster at the base of each man's spine, Leon swiftly knocked them out. He propped their bodies against the fence, hoping they were deep sleepers, and silently vaulted over the barrier. Inside the perimeter, Leon searched for a point of entry. His eyes locked onto an ajar window. Jackpot! He leapt up to the window, climbed through, and landed silently on a catwalk overlooking the factory floor. The stench of rotting meat, and something far worse, burned Leon's nose. While parts of the line were automated, much of the butchering was still done by hand. Most of the workers were girls in their early 20s, or younger. Some of them were chained to posts by their ankles. Moving quietly, Leon found a door that likely led to the illegal side of the operation. Vaulting off the catwalk, Leon dropped 20 feet to the ground without a sound. Peeking through the door, he spotted more guards, and beyond them, a dozen girls with burlap sacks over their heads and their hands bound. Then Julius entered the frame. "Hey! Why the hell is the merchandise still here? They were supposed to be gone 12 minutes ago." "The trucks aren't here yet, boss. Nothing we can do." Julius looked ready to pop a blood vessel judging by the vein pulsing in his forehead. "Fine. Take the girls back to their rooms. I'll figure out what's wrong with the delivery." The guards nodded, grabbed the girls, and dragged them out, leaving Julius alone. Massaging his forehead, Julius sat down and reached for the emergency bottle hidden beneath his desk. Dialing a number while pouring himself a drink, he paused. He felt someone watching him. He turned, and all he saw was a flash of white hair before Leon knocked him out. Leon sighed. "I've gotten rusty. I let my intent slip." Shrugging, he patted down his target, tossing aside the handgun strapped to Julius's waist and a knife hidden in his shoe. "I never understood why people do that. They're more likely to cut themselves than escape." Tying up Julius, Leon exited the way he came, completely unnoticed. After putting distance between himself and the factory, he accessed the Hunter website and scheduled a pickup. The rest was simple. Once he arrived at the designated location, It only took a few minutes before a black car pulled up and took Julia's off his hands, not before transferring the bounty credits, of course. With plenty of daylight left, Leon wandered through the city. I wonder how Maki's doing with her bounty. Maki's POV. I sighed as, at long last, my threads shredded the heart of my last enemy into pulp. The corpses strung around the room collapsed to the floor, no longer puppets on my strings. Cleaning the blood off my needles, I left the massacre behind. My mission was to eliminate a group of terrorists planning to bomb some building. They were trash, easily dispatched. Still, I smiled when I saw my bank account suddenly swell with Jenny. Leon had helped me open the account yesterday, banks, interest rates, savings. I'd been clueless. My stomach rumbled. Good thing Leon wasn't around, otherwise I wouldn't know how to face him. Another thing I didn't know much about, boys. It was one of the rare times I wished my mother were still alive. Even a little advice would have helped. As I turned a corner, a pink fluorescent sign caught my attention. Looking through the window, I saw women chatting while metal domes covered their heads. Others were getting their hair washed and cut. I absently played with my own hair. Maybe I should try something new. I've always cut it myself. I hesitated, but eventually, I mustered the courage to walk into the salon. Taking a seat at the end of the line, I waited my turn. Such pretty hair, is that your natural color? The question caught me off guard. I looked to my left and nodded. People don't believe me when I tell them, though. Another woman chuckled. I can see why. Who does your hair, your mother? No. My parents died a long time ago. I do it myself. But I'm kind of bored with the usual style. As the women offered their condolences, I was surprised at how talkative I'd become. Is this what it's like to be around other women? Maybe I should do this more often. Chapter 50. Feeling good about his latest successful hunt, Leon decided to take a break. A week had passed since he started, and he had completed a total of 13 hunts, mostly targeting wanted criminals and collecting their bounties. But when his phone rang, Leon was surprised to see a notification from the Hunter website. There was an open bounty, meaning any licensed hunter could attempt to kill the target. Open bounties usually meant the target was a powerful NEN user, and this time was no exception. An entire neighborhood had disappeared within an hour. Everything, from the houses to the people, vanished without a trace. The Hunter Association was already conducting a cover-up to hide the true nature of the crime, but they needed someone to serve up to the authorities. Smiling, Leon ran toward the crime scene. He was tired of chasing after nobodies who couldn't even fight back. The suspect's name was a man named Caribou. He had a thin build and long, greasy hair. As Leon neared the neighborhood, he perched atop a nearby building and scanned the scene. The description hadn't lied. Nearly a square mile of open land now stood where homes once were. Police had formed blockades to stop anyone from entering or leaving, but to Leon, there were at least 1,000 ways past them. As he continued scanning, Leon sensed several other NEN users approaching the area. Spurred on by the competition, Leon was about to make his move when an explosion rang out from one of the police checkpoints. Focusing on the source of the disturbance, Leon spotted his target, Caribou, standing beside a burning police car as officers fled in terror. Though the man looked slightly older than his bounty photo, the resemblance was unmistakable. Leon stayed hidden, watching as nearly 5 hunters converged on Caribou. Seeing them approach, Caribou crouched and placed his hand on the ground. Before Leon's eyes, the pavement transformed into a thick sludge that surged forward like a wave, aiming to engulf the hunters. 4 of the 5 escaped, but the weakest among them was overwhelmed. The mud was bottomless, and the man was completely smothered. He never resurfaced. Deciding to intervene, Leon jumped from his perch. He landed with precision behind Caribou, testing his reaction with a quick kick. Caribou sensed him just in time and ducked beneath the strike. Leon leapt away as Caribou turned the surrounding ground into more sludge. Humph. They're really letting anyone pass these days, aren't they? Caribou sneered. Leon landed atop a police car as he and the 4 remaining hunters surrounded Caribou. Sighing, Leon sized everyone up. Out of the 4, Caribou clearly outmatched 3 of them. The 4th was a toss-up. Leon considered whether to wait or act, but the decision was made for him when one of the hunters reached into his pocket and pulled out a clay capsule. The hunter threw the capsule to the ground, where it exploded into a thick cloud of purple smoke. Leon avoided it easily, not that poison would have affected him anyway. As expected, the other 3 hunters and Caribou began to cough violently. When the smoke cleared, the only unaffected individuals were Leon and the hunter who had thrown the capsule. The rest, all 4 of them, looked pale and soaked in sweat. The poison-using hunter smirked as he addressed the group. "The poison will kill you in 30 minutes. I only have 1 dose of the antidote. The last person alive gets to live." The 4 poisoned men exchanged uneasy glances. "To hell with this. I'll just kill you all," Caribou roared, unleashing another tidal wave of sludge. Leon was about to move when he felt a sharp prick in his neck. Pulling out a small needle, he immediately recognized the burning sensation: poison. "You think I forgot about you?" said the poison hunter, now standing safely away from the chaos, untouched and clearly ahead of the rest.